Hey y'all, what's going on? It's your girl Alex today. I am so excited to be here with y'all today because we have some amazing people that I'm really excited to introduce you to because I cannot wait to dig into the products and stuff that we're going to talk about today. First, we have Miss Lynn. Can you please introduce yourself and just kind of give everybody a little bit of your history and background?
I would love to. Thank you for having me, Alex. It's such a pleasure to be on today, everybody. My name is Lynn Matthews. I have been in wellness for several decades, and I came across this amazing redox technology that we're going to talk about 8 years ago. One of the things I love is redox is the energy that powers all life. So nothing happens in our lives, in our bodies, without a redox reaction. So that's what we're going to explore today.
Amazing. And Jay, thank you for hosting and helping us out on the technical side. I appreciate you being here with us and helping us along. So, quick question. So, for someone who is jumping into ASEA and they're like, oh, it's just salt water because literally the ingredients when I show people on the bottle is water and salt. What would you say to someone who is coming in brand new to this? Like, well, it's just salt water. What's the big deal?
That's a great question, and we all get it. In fact, when this was introduced to me, because my daughter had a serious brain injury, that was her first thing. She rejected it immediately because it said sodium chloride and water on the bottle.
Okay.
Here's the thing: number one, you can't patent salt water, and this has a lot of patents and intellectual property rights associated with it. So on the bottles as well, there's a stamp by a company called Bioagilitics, and they are renowned in the drug and biotech world because they test 80% of the drug companies' drugs to say that what they say is in it is in it. Now, supplements don't have to have that third-party validation, but ASEA always goes above and beyond with all of their products and manufacturing. So Bioagilitics actually tests every batch and certifies that what's in there is redox molecules. And you have to start with salt water.
Mm-hmm.
Think about baking a cake, right? Or even buying a cake or buying a loaf of bread. It doesn't say bread in the list of ingredients, right? Something happens to the yeast and the flour and the sugar and the eggs. There's a transformation that happens, a chemical process that happens. And at the end, you have delicious bread.
Right.
It's the same thing here. Our bodies use sodium chloride and water, saline, to build within the cells. So we have to start with the same thing the body does.
So then what is this redox technology specifically? Because that's ultimately what ASEA is. It's a redox technology that is in the bottle, is it not?
It is. So it's a little confusing because I know a lot of times when we say technology, people think technology like IT. It is one of the most significant health science breakthroughs, if you want to look at it that way. So redox is just a contraction of two words, reductants and oxidants. And these are, think about it as exchanging electrons. You're always passing electrons, and everything in the body is this exchange of electrons.
Right.
When you blink your eye, when you do a movement, anything is that. So redox is not something that ASEA discovered. It's a huge field of science that was kicked off in the late 90s. ASEA just happened to be the only company to be able to stabilize these redox molecules in the bioactive form so that we have that beautiful blue bottle that we can drink and then replenish what we just don't make enough of as we get older.
So one of the things I had been asked too is that like, okay, so we get the technology, we understand what's going on, but according to some of the sciences, the hardest thing is shelf life that you were just mentioning. Sure, it should, theoretically only last for, a short while. What exactly are we looking at with the stabilization that they do to make the technology that they do in water or in the salt water?
That's a great question. So in our bodies, when your body makes these molecules, it makes them in the blink of an eye, uses it, and then they revert to saline.
Right.
It's very quick. They're very reactive. And that's why it was deemed impossible for 20 years to stabilize them. And when they initially stabilized them, the shelf life unopened was a year. Now it's all the way out to 18 months. But then once you open the bottle, right, you probably should use that within 30 days. Right. Nothing happens. It doesn't go bad. It just very slowly starts to degrade back to the saline that it was made from.
Right. Which, I mean, you figure if even you're only doing 1 case a month, that's 1 bottle a week that you're going through. So you're more, if you're staying on just even the low end of the usage, you're still using it up in more than enough time once it's been opened.
Absolutely.
And so for people who are, still trying to struggle to understand this technology, because it's like, okay, I understand the basics of it. Why though is it so important? Why is it so impactful on ourselves in the way that it is able to help just all of the different ailments that we might be experiencing?
And I think that's what is the hardest thing for people to wrap their head around. Why does it seem to help from A to Z? It's so non-specific.
Right.
And it's because anything that happens in the body has to do with cells. And for the first time in human history, we're able to address health, wellness, vibrancy at the cellular level. Usually we're working on symptoms, right? Mitigating symptoms. We've never been able to get to the root before. This is allowing us to literally get to the molecular level, the cellular level, even the genetic DNA level, to start to let the body hear that there's a problem, and then the body can come down and do what it does best, which is to heal itself. Because these molecules, they don't heal, they don't cure, they don't prevent anything. They have a number of roles, but one of the biggest ones is communication. They send out a signal to the immune system to tell the immune system that one of their neighboring cells is just not acting right. Maybe it's mutating, maybe it's being attacked by viruses and bacteria, maybe it's just old, right, and needs to be replaced. And so that's one of the big roles. That's the oxidant side of the redox equation, is that it's the communication system for the body.
So then, go ahead.
I also want to say while we're in this, because I think the audience would really be interested too in like your experience, like what you're experiencing.
Absolutely. No, I mean, one of the biggest things for me is how it amplified everything that I was doing already. And that was kind of what you were just talking about, was the cell signal, right? It's not so much that it's like this, fixes every cell directly and has its own little whatever, right? What it does is it increases that communication, because our body, correct me if I'm wrong, but our body is fully capable of healing. But as we age and as we get older, that connection and that communication saying, hey, we need some help over here, send us our healing natural body, things our way, that connection starts to degrade. Or if we get injured, or in my case, I came from a very violent ex-husband, assaulted me. And the last time he got a hold of me was in 2014. I have about 8 weeks of unconsciousness that I don't recall. And when I started coming to, I had these very debilitating migraines and body-wide debilitating discomfort in my body that would take me down for easily a day, especially if the weather was wonky, everything else. All of a sudden I started having these weight issues. Everything started changing like rapidly, like overnight. I was on pharmaceuticals. I was on all kinds of stuff. And now granted, I do also have a structural injury in my neck and my upper back. That was from working on the aircraft. That was a little bit different, but I had that. And then I got assaulted and my body was basically like, no, I'm done. And what happened was I was already being medically retired out anyways because of my injury. And then that happened in that process. So it was this whole thing. And and of course I was dealing with severe PTSD from the abuse and everything at that point too. So I had a bunch of compounding different things, and I've been on this healing journey. So I'm like, look, I refuse to be bedridden. I was getting Botox and bupivacaine injections. I was on all kinds of like gabapentin, like pain meds, all kinds of stuff. I never touched narcotics. I was terrified to always get, addicted given the level of pain I was in. But that's about the only thing I didn't touch. And just going from that to now, I'm 100% natural. I am working with a naturopath who has me on certain things that is pulling the inflammation out of it. And so, all this stuff that she's doing is great. But then the ASEA came in and it just amplified it. And even she was like, because I was working with her and like I knew I was going to be making progress slowly. And this was about whole body healing, everything that I was doing on my end on the naturopath side. Right. And then I got introduced, to ASEA, and I went ahead and tried it. I didn't really say anything to her. And then all of a sudden I started making rapid improvements. And she's like, what did you do? Cause did you do anything different? You're making good progress. We were on our positive trajectory, but then it was like, you really amplified everything. And I was like, well, yeah, I tried this. And I even went off of ASEA just to see if it was, how it would work, because I personally jumped straight in. I jumped right in at 8 ounces. That was perfect for me. I know that some people who are sensitive, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're sensitive, you don't necessarily want to jump straight in. You want to kind of ease in maybe 4 ounces a day. where I just went in straight because I was like, I know I'm going to detox. And if this is going to work, because with that 30-day money back guarantee, I want to know if it's going to work before I hit that 30 days. So if it doesn't, I can get my money back, Otherwise, I want to jump all in knowing that this is going to be a likely dose given my particular set of issues that I was trying to deal with. And so I went off of it and I noticed a significant backtrack, not quite debilitating to where I was before because of the work we had been doing, that foundation we had laid in, but I definitely was not where I was. I'll tell you that. It was noticeable. And so I was like, nope. And I went right back on it, and I've been fine ever since. And, to the point where it's like now, with the gel and everything, I'll use it on my vertebrae. I stretch every day because that's a structural thing, like we're still working on, and, everything. So that's a little bit different versus I was given a formal diagnosis of fibromyalgia. I was given a formal diagnosis of anxiety, complex PTSD, and everything else, and depression and stuff. And so, whereas I don't struggle with that like I used to in any sense of the way. And I know that ASEA is absolutely amplified, and especially like my pain and stuff. I remember one time, so when I was first starting ASEA, because mine, was system wide, and there was a bunch of crazy weather and everything. And one of my my hip flexors will absolutely ignite to the point where my legs will start to give out. Well, there was some stuff happened. I didn't get home for like 3 hours after my pain started. And I was literally crawling inside my door, and I crawled into my bathroom and I took the bottle of ASEA and I just was taking my knuckle digging into my hip flexor. I did that 3 times in 5 minutes. And then I have like an essential oil blend with like lavender, clove, things of that nature. After I started, because I was getting some, relief out of that. And then I took that and I added it on top of where the ASEA was on my hip flexor. And within 20 minutes, my pain was gone and I could actually walk again. Of course, then my legs were like weak and they were like, oh, they're lethargic because they were just in so much pain. And I took a nap, and after about, an hour and a half of laying down, I was good to go. And I was back up moving from literally crawling inside my house. And I'm 32 years old, so I shouldn't be doing that. But, that's just kind of telling you how messed up my body at such a young physical age. I shouldn't be having this. But yet here I am. And, I'm in greater health than when that assault happened. I was 23 when that assault happened. And, my whole life changed.
I think
wow.
Your story's amazing. And I think you're right. What people have to understand is 2 things. When you start increasing the communication, it's like going from maybe 2 bars on your cell phone to 5 bars all of a sudden. And then anything that you're taking, whether it's the food you're eating, whether it's herbal supplements, medications, pharmaceuticals, all of that, when the communication is better, all of that not only works better, so you've got that happening, but on the other end, the body systems are starting to come back online. They're starting to function more optimally. So between those 2 things, a lot of times people can come off of some of the things they're on or really cut back on some of the things they're on. Yeah.
And that's one of, also too, with dealing with pain, like the gabapentin, right? That's a nerve inhibitor where it makes it so that there's no communication between the nerves. And that's how it, quote unquote, deals with the pain and shuts it off. Well, the problem is if you're not connecting, right? You're not communicating, you don't even get a chance to heal. And so that's some of the stuff that people I've been talking to help bring them down off of those drugs, those really heavy drugs, to be able to give their body that connection back. And so quick question, what would you say, how often do you say it is that the cells have an opportunity to repair themselves if given the right environment?
How often do I say that?
Or how often would you say cells have an opportunity to repair themselves?
Always. Because what most of us don't understand, because we're never taught this about our bodies, right? Nobody teaches this in health. They should be teaching this to little kids. You get one body. And from the time you're conceived until the time you draw your last breath, your cells are constantly breaking down, dying, and being recreated. Every cell has a lifespan. Stomach cells turn over faster than bone cells. Bone cells are the slowest. I think it's like 7 years. So that's already going on. But then in the age that we live in, with the amount of stress, the amount of environmental influences, negative, toxins and things like that, they're breaking down at a more rapid rate, and to a point where our cells without ASEA cannot keep up with that breakdown. So even healthy young people can benefit from ASEA. And that was really shown in the genetic study where they didn't realize that already genes were turning off, right? Because they felt healthy, but all of them had genes that were turning off, and 100% of them, the genes were flipping back on within 8 weeks of drinking ASEA.
Wow.
So all of us, it doesn't matter the age, can benefit. And then as we're older, typically over 50, I remember Dr. Hoffman years ago had an analogy she used. She said, think about this. At puberty, you're given a full glass of water, right? Because we know that we start to produce less of these naturally after puberty. It seems really young, right?
Yeah.
We start aging after puberty. It doesn't seem fair. But anyway, she said, imagine you're handed a full glass of water and every year you take a sip out of that glass. Well, by the time you're maybe 40, you're probably a good 3/4, maybe halfway down the glass. By the time you're 50, maybe there's a quarter left in the glass. So if you think about that analogy, when you start to replenish redox by drinking the molecules of ASEA, you're filling that glass back up again. Right. So now not only are you helping with the day-to-day breakdown of just living on planet Earth, but you're helping as you get older, the fact that your body's not producing as many. That's why as we're older, we typically need at least those 8 ounces. And then you just feel there's so much vitality. And I believe that is our birthright, to be vital and just out there in the world, changing lives until the day we're not, not this slow, drawn out sickness. That is not the future.
Well, and I love so much of what you were just hitting on, because I don't think people even realize that. I realized it because of my particular circumstances. At 23 years old, I was bedridden, and that's not fun. But other people, when you look at them and or especially, what is it, those skinny people who are like in their early 20s, whatever, could literally eat whatever they want, and then by 30, they're crazy overweight because things start flipping off and everything. You're looking at them just like, dang, and. Yes. It's mind blowing, especially this technology that I was researching into, because I'd never heard of it. I was like, what is redox signaling? And when I started to dig into it, I was like, this is actually really cool. I didn't even realize that. And especially the way that they're able to stabilize it, because that was some of the big things, is that it was really hard to stabilize. And so there's that third-party testing that shows, okay, this is what it says it is. Here's the shelf life and everything else. And then, of course, making sure you want to purchase it straight from the manufacturer. Do not purchase on Amazon or anything of that nature.
Yes.
Yes, there's the link in the scroller down below. And if you want to reach out to me too, let's get on the phone, because sometimes people may not understand what it is they need exactly. And everyone's situation's a little bit different. Like I said, I jumped straight in. I knew I was going to detox. My body has gone through a lot of stuff, so I felt pretty comfortable with being able to handle whatever was coming my way. Other people, or if you have children or young little ones that you're wanting to get on, you definitely don't want to just necessarily jump in at 8 ounces. That may not be the best fit for you. So if you guys want, y'all, you can reach out to me. You can text me. We can get on a web call like this, something similar to this, just obviously private, where you can have any questions answered. And if you have any questions with the enrollment process, we can absolutely help you. Jay, do you mind sharing a little bit about your experience with ASEA?
Absolutely. And thank you, Alex. I just your story, incredible breakthroughs. And I love it. I'm really happy for you. I really am. And God bless you. So, me and April, we actually got introduced to this God molecule, if you would, kind of a couple of years ago, and never thought much of it, because of the business we're in. We get a lot of products sent to us, but it did keep coming up. And we actually took the time to go to an actual local event where we sat and we met one of the doctors, Dr. David Silverman. A lot of you see him on the videos. He's on the board of the company, medical board of the company. And Danielle Matthews, we met her there, Lynn's daughter. And they made sense, Alex, okay? Because it when we were looking at it, we realized that this wasn't another lotion, potion, or shake. It just wasn't. It was just something different. And it was like in a, I don't want to call a league of its own, but it was in a category of its own. So it almost felt like, I don't know, maybe Lynn, you said it the best way when we were talking. It's like the missing link to everything. You know what I mean? It's like you could never figure out, like for me, I could never figure out, well, I kind of feel good. I'm really taking a lot of supplements. I'm not really sure what's working. And I don't think I'm the only person having that really frustrating experience, right? And so I still keep taking them because you just don't know what to stop, what to remove, or whatever, right? And so, but when I took this, my intuitive compass kicked into gear very, very fast. And I strategically knew what to not take so much of, Alex, and what to take less of, to the point where now from 7 or 8, I take 1. And maybe I'm not saying I never will take it again, but I'll take it as I need it. But I just know that this was the missing link. So that was confirmed for me. And I think, Lynn, you mentioned that when we were talking about that. So I'm going to take that from you, Lynn.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not even mine. I've heard some of the doctors talk about it. And for us, it was certainly the missing link. I think a lot of people know Danielle's story.
Yeah.
You know, for 2 years, we tried so many things, and we had a lot of really smart people working with us, and there was no answer. And this was the missing piece.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Alex, really, I mean, we're here on an outreach with this, all of us here, because we know just how critical in this new world we live in 2022 with the energies, whatever your faith is. I mean, nobody can discount that there's stuff going on and it's affecting people. And we need help. We all need a little help, and help is here. And I think it always has been here, but it needs to be communicated in this way, because to just say to someone, stick it on a shelf and you look at it, what do you do with it? You know what I mean? You need that kind of unique experience. I think, again, Lynn, using your words you said on the show the other day when you were with us, everybody has a different experience. You know what I mean? So it's just what people are going to connect with. But I think the more and more we do this, I think the more and more people will start to activate, Alex, their God molecule.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I love how you hit on too, like your intuitive abilities. Mine have absolutely, that connection I've had has absolutely increased. And that's something that I've been going through quantum leaps. You know, this is end of July, we're recording this, and since I would say April, shortly after I added ASEA into it, I've been making massive quantum leaps. And it wasn't that and it's kind of like, I was ready, right? I've been doing the work. I've had those kind of foundations. I'm putting everything. And then ASEA just came in and just amplified everything that I was doing. And it's just shoving me into this next level that I'm ready to take. And so it's kind of what I think, that's how I think of it, ASEA, right? That is the first word that comes to mind, amplifying every single thing that you're doing. So, I mean, sure, if you're maybe not eating the greatest, it's still going to help you. But if you're eating cleaner, the way that you're introducing different things into your bodies, how you're going about it is just going to be amplified in a positive way.
It's almost like a quantum leap forward.
Yeah, it
really is. It really
That's
is.
the missing piece.
I hope people really take this seriously, for those and the ones that rely on them the most, and reach out to you, Alex. I really do. And just at least explore the possibilities of, people watching this know what's going on that they're missing. If you need it, you know what it is.
The way I look at it is everybody needs it, because this is something that is helping their cells communicate regardless. And the way, like, a lot of people I've personally talked to, it's energy is huge. They start getting boosts of energy, vitality, just that seems to be an overall thing. And then it's like other big things start to also come into focus after about that 90 to 120 day. It seems like people really start to notice, whether they're getting blood work done or however else they're monitoring themselves, they really start to see it. And on the way I look at it is like, everybody needs this, because everybody, whether you're an animal working with my animals here, you're a child, you're an adult, whatever stage of life you're in, if you're capable of drinking up the substance itself, you could definitely use it, right?
Yep.
So I want to get ready to wrap this up, but I appreciate both of you. Lynn, is there anything that we didn't cover that someone who's brand new to this you think would be really good for them to hear?
One of the things I would really, really want to stress is don't blow this off.
Yeah.
It is often sounds too good to be true, but it is truly one of the most profound things I have come across in 20-something years of being in wellness. And it's very easy to blow off because it's something that most people haven't heard of. But do your due diligence. You've heard a lot today, but reach out to Alex, find out what this is and how it can serve you. Because like she said, this is not a one-size-fits-all product. Redox is going to go where your body needs it most. And I think that's also important to remember when you do start on it. You might have a list of, well, I want it to do this, this, and this. But if something's going on below the surface, and we know that most things before they become symptoms that can be labeled, they've been brewing for at least 8 years. So if something like that is happening, unbeknownst to you, your body's going to put these molecules to work there, maybe not on your list. So we do know that the longer we're on it, the more things come into balance. So for me, I've been drinking this for 8 years. I'm healthy. But I am healthier now in my 60s than I was probably in my 30s and 40s, and doing way more than I did then.
Oh, I believe it. And one of my favorite parts is there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. I always tell people on day 25 after your order, put in your calendar, set a reminder, check in with yourself. Do I want to stay on this or do I want to cancel? And more than likely you're going to want to stay on it, but at least you give yourself an option. Because if you think it's not working, or like me, I was like, I'm not sure, let me jump off it and see how it is. And then I realized I was like, nope, I'm coming back, because it definitely made a difference, you know. But hey, there's no right or wrong way to do this, but at least that way, you know, you have a money back guarantee if you feel like it's not working. No big deal. You know, reach out to me and I can help you with that too. So, hey, I appreciate you so much. Both of you are such a beautiful wealth of information. Thank you for bringing this to my audience and helping us out. I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all have an amazing day. Thanks y'all for tuning in. I cannot wait to connect with y'all. I love y'all so much. Until next time, y'all.